Welcome back to another weekly analysis. Mighty fine over here. About to just kick right into it. Um, if you are interested in what I do, give it a thumbs up so other people can check it out and it gets suggested to them. But also subscribe to that free Discord channel down below. I provide macro fundamental analysis as well as some trade ideas and breakdowns. And this weekly analysis goes there as well. Streamline your process as you're getting ready for week to week trading. Um, just to highlight how successful this analysis can be, uh, every idea that we talked about last week played out pretty beautifully, and the news event on Wednesday was the major catalyst to make that happen. I called for a price to come back down into this area and then provide some sort of transition. Price tested it once, tested it twice on that news event, and then extended higher on all these dollar pairs. And we can see that as we go into, for example, GBPUSD, which was the, in my opinion, cleanest continuation trade last week. We came into this 4-hour supply that I also highlighted for you. Said price will likely come up into here, if not up into the daily supply, just depending on how the beginning of the week kind of settled. And we just saw this kind of sideways transitional behavior here as the week started. Price came right up into that area and it provided a 1 to 22 RR. For every dollar that you put into that trade, you got $22 out within the course of under a day. So just again to highlight kind of the power of simple but selective and precise price action analysis. This is what we do. And this is what we do every day in my live trading sessions. So again, if you're interested, go check out that Discord. I'm not going to bore you too much with the marketing shtick, but let's get right into this, sort of prep for next week. First of all, we can take this trend high and we can put that up here. Up into our highest spot where that went. We can take out the rest of the stuff. This isn't uber relevant right now. We'll just delete all of it. And as of right now, our daily demand does sit right here at that level that was tapped into and then expanded up higher. This shows us that buyers are in control from this region. We can go into a smaller time frame and tighten that up a little bit because it's going to be a really big zone as we get to that. But as of right now, just mark out these two levels. And my whole purpose of, showing you guys how to actually mark these up is so you can replicate it. I'm always happy to answer questions. Feel free to drop something in the comments or shoot me a DM or whatever. But the point is, you should be able to replicate this process to give yourself a little bit of an edge. Because let's be honest, trading's fucking hard, right? And most people fail. And a lot of people are just selling kind of a lifestyle or a dream of getting rich super quick. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not always how it works. What I'm trying to do is give you the tools so you can succeed and continue to learn and grow and get better and better at this craft every single day. Because it is possible, but it's hard. So you got to put this time in and find good resources like myself that are really here trying to help you. I don't have anything to sell on that Discord. I had a community for years that I hosted, and it's a lot of work, but I do this as a way to try and help people because I have the ability to. Anyways, so what are we seeing here on the dollar? Dollar extended upwards into this 105, low 105s region, and then after that big news push for the week, kind of just ranged, eked a little bit higher here. I would call this the overall supply area. So anything above this is going to show us that the dollar is appreciating here for the week, or at least attempting to. Anything below this range demand right here is likely, and make sure you do that wick to body, but not including bodies, is likely to show us that price is going to retrace relative to this daily leg, right? So under this, I would just put an arrow to show yourself that it's likely to go down, but I wouldn't necessarily trade this unless you're an intraday scalper. I am, I look to take positions when they make sense and they fit my trade plan and my rules. But personally, I don't really love to trade these kind of counter trend because the trend is upwards. If price goes below this, anticipate a pullback back into this region down here. This is where you're really looking for price to tap into, and then again, provide another transition and expansion up higher. Your next highest target is going to be this green arrow up into the upper 105s or something like that. I think that this is very, very potential, especially with the Federal Reserve's decisions this last week, and sort of discussions around potential moves into the rest of the year and into 2024. So with that being said, wait for price to pull back into something like this, provide some sort of transition here, and then look for an extension to retest either these highs here or go higher. It's break or bounce from that region, but I would assume that it's going to continue to push up a little bit higher. And this is really your play for the week on all these US dollar pairs. It's super simple, and there's more that I do in my analysis and my trading, but I provide all that to those premium VIP members in my Discord group. That's not open right now. It will be relatively soon if you guys are interested in joining that. But for now, this is a great tool as well, right? So with that understanding, we're looking for these high time frame opportunities. This is still really ranged up, and as like I said last week, it's not the most it's not the smartest thing to trade major ranges unless you are very confident in what you're doing. I am very confident, and I'm still not going to trade this range. I think this is relatively low volume. I think we are seeing some downside pressure, but having it be in the middle of this big daily range right here, who knows how it's going to go. If price were to continue up a little bit higher and the dollar did pull back down, you could look for a retest of this supply region here. If you go to the 8-hour chart, one of my favorites, this is your supply region right there. Okay, back to the 4-hour just for a little bit of details, but if price comes up into this sort of 64,800, 64,900 region over here, look for a transition, and then you can play it back to the bottom of the range. That's the only place that I would look to take anything in AU. Okay, so there you go. And I'm not going to put much more effort into this here because that's really the only thing that I need to know. Set an alert right there, and I am done until price gets a little bit closer. Now, heading into GBPUSD, like I said, 1 to 22 RR trade came out of here, as well as a nice 1 to 5 continuation that we talked about on Friday with my trading group as well. Really, really good week here. And what you're looking for now is a pullback relative to this current leg, the one that gave you this big extension. I'm going to just move this over to the side here. We can change this now to our daily supply. Let's just verify that. Yep. So this is now your sort of continuation daily supply here. Market just opened up. So we're looking for price to pull back either into this area or again relative to a higher time frame. I would assume price is just going to pull back relative to this 124 region here as we get into the new week, and then look for a continuation to the downside. Now this break of this major weekly demand level here in the 123s, mid to low 123s, this is significant. This shows us that sellers intend to push this price lower, and this trend has a higher probability of continuing. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that off. This is what we're trading relative to right now. I can actually take this area of interest off because I've highlighted the success of the analysis already. And we'll go like that. Make sure you get the wick high. That's the highest point where sellers stepped in. That's an important little tidbit. And there you go. Put your flow low or your trend low, whatever you want to call it at this point. I think trend is appropriate. Trend low there. And then let's mark out our zones in between this. Same process as always. Anything that we really need to pay attention to here? Hey, I got a dog squeaking. I'm sorry. Chill out, buddy. Where is our last major supply? What made the last real low here? I would go so far as to say that it is this area right here, because this cracked just a little bit lower. Now, price could come back up and retest this 123.277 level. So this is one that I would still keep an eye on if this red zone gets liquidated, if it gets taken out. Your H1 is going to provide sort of your lowest time frame current situation. I would go ahead and mark this out right here as well. I like to color code. So this is my H4 here. Yellow is my low time frame color. So what does this tell us? This tells us that if price gets above this area, buyers may be stepping in, or sellers may be buying out of their positions, taking some profit to try and get price back up to a more attractive sort of institutional, whale price point for them to throw more orders at their speculation, at their plan. So if price gets above this, we're seeing some sort of pullback. Then we watch the blue zone. If price goes through both of these, then I would go ahead and watch that level and or this level, right? Anywhere where you see a big pocket of movement is a potential area, but I look for certain ones based on certain criteria. And for me, it would either be this blue zone here, or I'll make this a little bit bigger, this one right over here, as my most immediate areas of interest for the week. Now, it's hard to predict how the market's going to open up or start moving, and it looks like price is already starting to attempt the pullback here. It doesn't mean that it's going to make a pullback relative to this whole thing, to this whole flow leg. So if price just kind of putts around or starts to transition or whatever, be patient. It's the end of the month. It's where we start to see a little bit of manipulative, volatile price fixing, so on and so forth. So be patient and look for a nice clean transition, but overall your bias should be to the downside for an intra-week bias, for a day-to-day trend-based bias. We could have an entire week of pullback, right? But it doesn't make the bias wrong because we're assuming we're analyzing correctly that the trend is pointing down. So actionable items for GU this week, I would say, are watch for the break of this level and then look for price to play back into this region here. That's the first area that I would look for a retest and then transition and continuation to the downside. If you get that transition in this region, first target these lows. We know there's lots of buy orders that have been placed here, so it may get a little shaky or price might just blow right through it. If price goes above both, hold on, sit on your hands for a little bit, wait for the deeper pullback, and then still a sell bias. Our sell bias only gets canceled if price gets above this daily supply zone here around 124.250 roughly. So for me personally, sell bias until then. Let's scoot into Euro USD. This is gonna be the last one that we look at here today. Again, same deal, guys. I left this on here so I could highlight it for you. We're looking for price to come up into here and then transition on that area that I highlighted for you, either blue or red, H4 or daily. Price came right up into it. Again, on that news event, provided a 116 pip move to the downside. Can't fake the funk, you know what I'm saying? So what are we looking for this week? We are a bit ranged up. We're looking for price to exceed one of the either the supply or the demand of this range. We should have a downside bias. So if price can get above this area, I would look for a pullback back into this area here, where this supply lives, something like this. So if price gets above this, sorry, I'm just reusing here. Okay, something like this, and then again, a break or bounce situation, continuation to the downside. If price just goes lower than this, look for high volume to exit the range, and then you can look for the retest. But if you just get like one of these candles where it's a big crank below, but it comes right back into the range, I don't really consider that exiting the range. I'm looking for a big candle that shows some sort of high volume behavior exiting out, because to me, that shows me that a large amount of money is making a decision, right? So for right now on Euro USD, holding pattern, hopefully back to the dollar analysis, we get a little bit of a pullback here this week and price comes back down into these lows. And then we'll see maybe a pullback on EU, see a pullback on GU even, and we can look to take further positions bearish on these two pairs. And again, guys, that's it for the week. Basic levels, you know, basic actionable stuff. You can use your own approach, whether it is SMC, whether it is you know, moving average crossover, if you're an ICT disciple, whatever it is, you can use this analysis to help inform yourself on your overall bias and major levels for the week. If you like it, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up, whatever. Make sure you subscribe to that free Discord channel in there where I drop all this stuff sooner, and I drop more content in there. Trade breakdowns, fundamental analysis, so on and so forth. Enough of that. Have a good week. Trade smart, trade safe. Until next week, Mighty Fine out.